Hello, and welcome to the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. My name is Nikki. I am also known as Knitting with Cat Hair on Instagram and Cat Hair Knitting on Ravelry. I'm coming to you from the Greater Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which lies atop the traditional lands of the Tagamashing Anishinaabe people, where I live with my partner, our 2 daughters, and our 5 cats, hence the name of the podcast, as I'm always finding cat hair in my knitting. So I know that I've been away for quite some time. This is my first podcast this year. The last one was around Christmas time when my mom was still visiting us. And there's many reasons for that, some of which I'm not going to delve into today, but one of the main reasons is we did unfortunately lose my mother-in-law about a month ago, and that's been really difficult. And in addition to that, we've been dealing with a lot of life stresses, personal-wise, house-wise, just a lot of stresses that it just seems like 2025 has been a real bummer of a year so far. And not to mention the political climate that we're currently existing in as well. So I just want to say that this is a safe space. Everyone is welcome here, so long as you are respectful and kind, and this is always going to be a safe space for people, despite our differences. Okay, so with that, I think I'll jump into some admin things. So I still am running a colorwork make along or knit along over on Instagram using the hashtag strandedcal2024. It's coming to a close April 1st, so you had to finish a colorwork project and post a finished picture of it using that hashtag over on Instagram to be entered into the draw for prizes, which I'll be drawing probably around April 2nd. I'm noticing, and I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this, that there's some issues with Instagram and hashtags and seeing what you want to see. So if you wouldn't mind going back and just making sure that I'm actually tagged in your post so that I can see it, it's easier for me to find it that way. Because when I look it up by the hashtag, I don't see all of the projects that I know have been put up on Instagram, which is really annoying. So yes, I think this will be the last time that I run a make along over on Instagram. To be honest, I'm actually considering leaving Instagram altogether. I'm still toying with that idea and exploring the options for moving to Blue Sky or something like that, or just going back to Ravelry and the groups that are there. Anyways, I'll keep you posted on what I end up doing. But yes, so that is coming to a close. And the other thing I wanted to say is a great big thank you to Anne of the Knit and Knit podcast, who kindly featured my podcast on hers. It must have been maybe November. It's been a long time. It was a long time ago now. So I just wanted to extend a public thank you to Anne. I did thank her personally as well. But I also wanted to say that the podcast is wonderful. It is in Swedish only right now, so there's no English subtitles or anything like that. Although YouTube, I think I got an email or something about changes to YouTube that are coming up, and I think they're going to start making automatic subtitles available in different languages and stuff. But I don't know if Swedish speaking podcasts were in the mix with that yet. So anyways, if you're Swedish speaking, if you understand, or you just want to look at some eye candy, please do check out Knit and Knit, and I will obviously put a link down below. And she makes beautiful things, absolutely gorgeous. She does a lot of intricate color work, texture, colors. She's just a wonderful knitter. And I think, again, because it's in Swedish, I'm not 100% sure, but I think she films with her daughter. I think they're a mother-daughter team, and they seem to have a lot of fun. So highly recommend checking them out. And okay, I think that's it for admin things and for thank yous. Although I do want to say a big thank you to anyone who reached out to me in my absence as well, just to check up on me. It's very thoughtful. I really appreciated that. When things go wrong, I've mentioned this before, things aren't going my way. I tend to stay away from social media in general. So I haven't been very active on Instagram, and obviously I've been absent from YouTube. So yeah, I'm hoping to try and get back into the swing of things. And that's why I'm podcasting today. Actually, I was inspired by Susan of the Wild Cottage Ireland podcast, who's been also absent for a while and made a brief live appearance yesterday. And it was really nice to see her and to catch up with her. And so, yeah, that inspired me to get back in front of the camera, because I have missed these interactions. I've missed hearing about what everyone's working on and showing you what I've been working on. Like I have missed it very much. So here I am. Okay, enough blathering. Let's get into some making talk. So first off, I'll start with what I'm wearing. Today I am wearing, and this is also my first finished object, I am wearing my finished Sunday cardigan. It's a pattern by Petite Knit. I can't remember which size I knit. I know it was one of the larger sizes, but it's not a size inclusive pattern. So I may have actually knit the largest size, but I have been eyeing this pattern for forever, and it was gifted to me by a dear friend, Amelia of the Amelian Style podcast. A couple years ago now, I think, and I had immediately bought the yarn for it. So I was excited to finally cast on and to actually finish. So I haven't put the buttons on, and I haven't washed and blocked it, to be honest. I'm not sure if I'm going to put buttons on. I'm not sure if I just want to wear it open. It's very cozy. I thought I was going to run out of yarn, and I'll see after I wash and block, but I may actually go in and add a bit more length to the sleeves. So it's got this really long ribbing on it, but they fall a little bit short, and that's because I was worried about running out of yarn. So I might go in and add a bit of length. I can actually add some length to the body if I choose, but I think it's at a good length. It's perfect for just throwing over a t-shirt. And this is my first time doing a folded neckline. So it's actually doubled. And the way this one is knit is you actually knit it extra long at the top first. So it's knit top down. You knit it extra long, and then you go back in and sew it down afterwards. You fold it over and sew it down. And I think there are other ways to do it. I'd have to look into it, but I'm pretty sure there's a way where you can do it all in one go instead of having to come back and sew it down. But I haven't explored that option yet. Anyways, this is the first time I've done it, but yeah, it's very cozy. I knitted up out of one strand of Let Lopey, and it was like a kind of like a medium gray color. And then I used this really dark mohair, gray mohair. I think it was a Drops Kid Silk. And I used 2 strands of the mohair with the 1 strand of the Let Lopey throughout. And I will tell you what size needles I used for those who are interested. I used a US 10, I actually used 3 sizes. A US 10, which is a 6mm needle for the collar, for the ribbing on the collar. And then I switched to US 10.5, which is a 6.5mm for the rest of the body. And then when I did the sleeve cuffs and the hem, I found that the sleeve cuffs were too big, so I went down another needle size. I think I went down to a 9, yeah, a US 9, 5.5mm, just to cinch it in a little more so it wasn't quite so loose on the cuffs. And I did the same thing on the bottom at the hem. Yeah, it was an okay knit. I mean, it's what, Aran weight plus 2 strands of mohair, so it's a thicker, maybe like a bulky or super bulky, I'm not even sure. It's a thicker weight of yarn, so it does go fairly quick. I just find myself getting bored. I get bored with things. So like when there's a lot of stockinette, especially like the upper part, which has these kind of panels of ribbing, those are fun. Because there's a bit of different stitch patterns to keep my interest. Okay, we have a cat settling in over here. I don't know if you can see. This is Brownie. He's the baby of the family. Yeah, I have to watch him though. He chews yarn. He's the chewer. Okay, he's like knocking everything down. Oh, this is why filming inside is so difficult for me. Okay, he seems to have settled in. Anyways, yeah, so it was a quick knit. I really wanted it. I've been eyeing this pattern for a really long time. probably maybe even since I started knitting seriously. I can't remember when it came out, but yeah. So I was happy to make it. And that's it for that one. So we'll move into some of my other finished objects. So if you saw my Christmas episode or holiday episode that I did with my mom, the last episode I did, we were working on a pair of Advent socks. So this year we do, this is the second time we've done this, a frugal Advent, where one of us puts together 24 mini skeins of yarn, leftovers, whatever, or scraps, whatever. And then we knit one of those colors a day. And so this time it was my mom's turn to put the colors together, but we hadn't decided on a pattern before she did it, so it was kind of totally unfair. But after the fact, we decided we wanted to do something a little different. Last time we did striped socks, which are, I mean, pretty basic. And they're cute. I still wear them. It's not that I don't like them. It's just we wanted to mix it up. So this time we chose a little more elaborate pattern, and we went with the Nightingale by Vintage Purls Designs. And so obviously we finished, I don't think we finished by Christmas though. I think we finished Boxing Day maybe. Both of us were done by Boxing Day. But anyways, so I'll show you one of mine. So what we did was every day, I think they're knit toe up. So every day we would knit a different color. And we could choose how much of that color we wanted to put in. So some of the variegated colors I chose just to do a little, like a few lines or a few rounds of it. And some of the colors that I liked a little more, I did more of. And yeah. So this is what they look like. So they're cute, that's the front. Now you can see they're like, I think they're knee-high, almost knee-high anyways. They're very long. I have really large calves, so I had to expand on the sides. At a certain point I had to start increasing, and I just kept trying them on and increasing as I needed to. So they look a little large, and they don't stay up. You can see that the ribbing at the top, I think this was a corrugated ribbing. Yes, corrugated ribbing, and it's not standing up. Like, it doesn't stay up. It doesn't stay up on my leg either. This is what the back looks like. It's a little bit different pattern. So you have the birds on the front and kind of like vegetation or something on the back. The only real big change that I made to the pattern was I altered this guy's neck. If you look at the original, actually not just the neck, his whole head, it was really skinny. My mom kept it the same, so I will pop in a picture so you can see what it looks like. But basically the neck was really skinny and the head was really round, and it just looked like a vulture. I didn't care for it. So I tried to alter it to make it look more like a dove, I guess, or something. It was a little different. So yes, in retrospect, it was really fun. I'm not like, and the memories that we made while we were making these were fantastic. And I do cherish them. I can't wear them. They're not wearable. And in retrospect, if I were to make them again, because I really do love the bird patterning, I would probably convert them to top down and do them that way. Because they were toe up, and I'm not an experienced toe up knitter, I didn't get the measurement right. It doesn't fit right on the heel. It's too long, doesn't fit. So I wasn't gonna go back and rip back and do it over again. Anyways, yeah. So, and then there's two of them, and they are mirrored. So the birds face each other. Yeah. It was really fun. I don't know what we're gonna do next time. But I guess it'll be my turn to come up with the yarn colors. So it turned out pretty interesting. Again, I'll have popped in the picture of what my mom's looked like. So she did the opposite to me. So I did the white for all of the kind of the picture elements. She did the white as her background and did the colors for the foreground, I guess. So it turned out quite a different look, and I actually do prefer hers over mine. So yeah, in retrospect, I would do them cuff down with a heel flapping gusset, like a regular heel flapping gusset, and I would make them shorter. I would just probably do 2 birds instead of the 3, and then they would probably be more wearable, and I'd probably get a better fit on my heel. I I don't know what size needles I used for that, but it will be on my project page, and I should say that I will link to everything that I talk about. And yeah, if you ever have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know. Okay, so that's one finished object. And then the next finished object that I have, which I was also working on during the last episode that I filmed, are my Underwing Mitts. So I had finished a pair for my best friend for her birthday. I did hers in gray, a really pale speckle that had pink and yellow and gray speckles in it, and then actually a bright yellow, and I did that on the wings. For mine, I chose to do mine in obviously a more neutral tone, so I used a brown, a beige, and a really gorgeous yellow for those moons. I don't know if you can see the nuances. These are hand dyed. So these yarns are by Georgian Bay Fiber Co., which was a local to me hand dyer, but unfortunately she closed her shop, I think, many years ago now, probably like 2020 or it was a while ago anyway, so I can't get her yarn anymore, but I really did enjoy it. It's 100% blue face Leicester, really cozy, really warm, and the colors were really pretty, really lovely. So I did something a little bit different on these ones to try and make the wrist a little more form-fitting. So what I did was I knit with a smaller size needle, I think a US 1, let me just double check I have that right. Yes, US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I knit all the way up until you start increasing for the thumb gusset. And then as soon as I started increasing, then I switched to a larger needle. I think I went up to a 1.5, a US 1.5, which is 2.5 millimeter needles. And that kept this part a little bit tighter and gave me the room I need in my upper hand. And even then they're still a little loose, but I love them. I did wear them in the fall. Fall? No. Winter. I did wear them on the milder days. I do love them. Yes, and they're such a quick knit. My first pair, I think I knit in like a couple days. I think I was definitely done within a week. Like, they were quick. They're fun. Anyway, yeah, really enjoyed those. Sorry, and those are by Erica Heusen is the designer. Okay, now we can move into some whips, things that I have been working on. Sorry, Brownie, I'm gonna have to steal this. Oh dear. Excuse me. Get your claws out. Oh my, you are tangled. Okay. He's not happy about that. So I did do some work on my Agnes Kofta. Agnes Kofta is a pattern by Kristin, Wiola, Odegard. It's found in an ebook for the English version. You can find it in an ebook called A Year of Wiola Cardigans. Oh my gosh. 1 year Wiola Cardigans, I think it's called. I'll put it up here. Yeah, it's got so many lovely patterns, but you have to be careful because they're not super size inclusive, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this is what I have so far. I'm almost done the body. Actually, I couldn't find my measuring tape. I was going to measure and see if I'm ready to do the ribbing at the bottom now. So it's a cardigan. It's knit in the round and then steeked afterwards. So some of the things that I've done differently are no, they did give you the short rows. There are short rows that you can put in. I did do the short rows in the back, but I didn't do them in patterns. So I left, so you can see I have some just plain rust color. And then after I was done the short rows, I did try to do the short rows in the pattern, and it was too confusing for me. I couldn't do it, so I gave up. I redid it with just the regular. And so right after I was done the short rows, then I started it into the patterning on the back. And what else did I do differently here? Oh, the body. So, well, the colors, this is the dark version, although many of the colors are, or at least some of the colors are not what were originally recommended, so I swapped them out and did my own colors. Oh, that looks so blue at the bottom. It amazes me. This color is the same as this color in real life. Yeah, that blue is the same as this greeny one. I don't know why it looks so blue down here. But yes, and then the body was supposed to be a dark brown. And I just liked the rust. I liked the consistency of having the rust up here and having the rust down there. So I just kept it the same. Yeah. So, and I think I may have separated for sleeves a little bit sooner. I was trying to be mindful of the bust depth because I didn't want to have them to like separate too late. And then I get the, you know, the underwing thing going on there. So I was trying to be mindful of that, but yeah, and it's a little snug. My gauge was off. My gauge was off and I knew that. So I'm trying to remember what I did. All of my notes are on my project page. So if you're wondering about what I've done, because I should have read it beforehand to refresh my memory. I can't remember what I did to compensate for my smaller gauge because I didn't like the gauge, yes, that they recommended that the pattern was in. So I think I went up a size. Anyways, I have my arms still, my sleeves on barber cords here, so I'll be ready to start those after I finish the ribbing at the bottom. Getting there. This was supposed to be done for April 1st. This was what I cast on for our color work Cal. However, I don't think I'm going to make the April 1st, given that that's next week. Definitely not making it. But I have finished other things for the underwing. The underwings are color work too. And yeah, so that's okay. I still participated. But yeah, I just love this. I can't wait to wear it. Okay, so the yarns. The yarns are all Rama Phenol. Yes, all of them are Rama Phenol. And I talked about this in a previous episode where I had ordered yarn from the Woolly Thistle for the very first time. And when it arrived, I got charged like an enormous duty or tax or whatever they call it when you order outside of your country. And so I was like, this is very cost prohibitive for me. I don't think I could ever, unfortunately, order from Woolly Thistle again, although I do love their products. They're all about the woolly wools. They are, yeah, and they have kits for things. Anyways, they're an amazing shop. If you're in the US, I'm sure you've heard of them or you know of them. And if you're in Canada, it sucks to be us because, yeah, it's just we can't access that very cost effectively. So I just wanted to say, I understand that the situation that, you know, the US and Canada are in right now is it's less than ideal. It's awful. Let's just say that. It's awful. But I also know that I don't blame Americans for the situation. I blame one particular American, the head, for the situation that we're in. So I just want to say, like, I'm not anti-American in any way. And in fact, if you do live in the US and are able to support the Woolly Thistle, I think that's great. They're a small business. They're probably going to be affected, I don't know if they already are, by the tariffs that are happening. So do show them some love. And just so you know, to be transparent, they did reach out to me and ask me if I'd like to be an affiliate. This was before any of this tariff business came into effect. It was quite a few months ago. I think it was in November. So anyways, yes, I agreed to be an affiliate. So I don't get sponsored. I'm not sponsored or anything like that, but I do have what they call an affiliate link. And anyone who purchases yarn from their shop through this link, unfortunately, you don't get a discount, but what it does is give me a little bit of money. So if you're an American and you're feeling bad for Canadians, feel free to use that link. I'll get a little bit of money. Helps me, it helps them, win-win. Now, if you're in Canada, I'm not going to recommend the link. It doesn't makes sense, and I get that, and I wouldn't suggest it. At least definitely not at this time with the tariff situation. So what I can do is suggest that there were a couple other stores that were recommended to me in Canada that carry things like Ramofino. So Your Next Knit is one of them, and I will put links to these, and the Knitting Loft is another. So we have Canadian shops here. I'm not affiliated with those ones. I'd love to be if if anyone's watching this and wants to give me an affiliate link for those shops, that'd be awesome. But yes, definitely, shopping local is the best way to get through this, I think. So I just wanted to be transparent about that. So the affiliate link for Woolly Thistle is going to be in the description down below, and it's also on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram page. So yes, Ramofino, lovely yarn, first time using it. It's a very woolly wool, but I would still say it is softer than Jamieson's of Shetland, which I have used before. But maybe it's harsher, or not harsher, toothier, I think is the word, than the Marie Wallin British breeds. As far as costs go, I think the Ramofino is probably the cheapest of the three, for us anyways in Canada. Jamieson's of Shetland would be the next most affordable one, and then Marie Wallin's British breeds is quite pricey. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say about the Agnes Kofta. And so that's one work in progress. And then I will go into, what's next? Oh, I cast on a new sweater because I cast off my lovely Sunday cardigan. And I was really craving something with texture. Cables. I wanted cables. And I'll get to this in a little bit later at the kind of near the end of the episode when I talk about some of my book acquisitions, but I was really wanting to look for a kind of a fisherman's Aran Guernsey type sweater. And when my mom was visiting, you can see on the last episode that when we filmed together, she was wearing her Saven, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, by Meghan Babin. And I kept coming back to that one thinking, I know it's knit in pieces and you have to seam it all together, and I'm not a huge fan of that, but I just kept thinking it looks so nice. It's really beautiful, and it's got so many different patterns in it that it's very engaging, very interesting, keeps your attention, and that's what I was craving. So I cast on for a Saven. I'm gonna call it a Saven. So I cast on for the Saven. I am using, so I had purchased a sweater's quantity of Briggs & Little Regal. It's a Canadian yarn, really lovely. Comes in a lot of different colors. This is, I don't know if you call this a heathered color. It doesn't really have different colors in it, but it's got different tones in it, which makes it interesting. And the colorway for this one is called Fur Green. So I do like it. So my back wall is turquoise. This is more green. And I thought, I love turquoise. If you've been here for a while, you know that's probably my favorite color, turquoise, teal. I love those. And I haven't been knitting with them all that often lately. So I thought I had picked up sweater's quantity of mohair at Value Village, which is a, what do you call that? Used clothing store, used items store here that we have locally. And there just happened to be a sweater's quantity of mohair. Actually, I got two. And one of the colors that I got was this color, which is a lot more blue. I think it's showing up pretty true. It's very blue. And I thought, well, it's too blue. This is too green. What happens if I put it together? So I put them together and got what I think is a really lovely blue-green. So this is one of the sleeves. I finished the sleeves. They're knit flat. And then, like I mentioned, it's all seamed together afterwards. And I knit them 2 at a time because I just find that works best for me, because I don't like doing things twice. So if I could do them all at the same time, it just seems to go better. And then I know that whatever I did on the one sleeve, I will have done on the other sleeve, and they'll be the exact same length, etc. So yeah, this is it. Sorry, it's curling, but it's got this lovely cable pattern on it. It's got a bit of floof to it because of the mohair. And I know that ideally when you're doing cables, you want something that's, you know, multiple plies, like a 3-ply or a 4-ply. It just makes the cable stand out better. And adding a mohair to that really kind of downplays the cables. I guess they don't stand out quite as much, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I still think it looks really pretty. Okay, so I've got the 2 sleeves, and then I've started on the body. So again, knit flat. So I was toying with the idea of doing the front and back together at the same time, but I'm trying to remember why well, mostly because it takes up a lot of space on my needles. I don't have 2. I don't have 2 sets. So yeah, I was going to do it, but like it's already taking up the majority of my needle just doing the one. So I'll just have to do the other one on its own. And this is the back. The back looks like. It's got an interesting, I just started doing them. I don't know if you can see. Right here. There's some wrapped stitches there. Oh, it's kind of cool. So yeah, I like it. To be honest, I'm losing steam on it right now. I'm not entirely sure why. If it's because of the attention it requires, or if it's because it's a darker color and it's starting to get sunnier out and I'm just not feeling it and I want something brighter. I'm not sure what it is, but I have lost a bit of steam. I haven't worked on it in a few days anyway. But I'm sure I will get back to it. I don't generally leave things for too long anymore. I try not to because I forget things. And I don't want to forget what I'm doing. And yeah, my memory is just not very good. Okay, so that was the Saven. Sorry, I didn't mention I am using US 6 4mm for the ribbing and US 8 5mm for the rest. Because I'm holding the yarn with a mohair, it's a little bit thicker than the pattern actually calls for, which I think it calls for originally worsted weight. So it's knitting up a little bigger, and I'm okay with that. I think it'll be nice to have a little bit of an oversized cable big sweater. Okay, my next work in progress is a new cast on that I hadn't shown before either. And it's a hoe, so I have finished one of them. And this is the Madeline socks? Madeline by Kate Poe. So I fell in love with this when I was looking for another pattern to work on with some yarn that I'll talk about later. And I discovered this. Someone had done this beautiful vine sock, and the original colors I think were very different. I think they were like purple and yellow, or I don't know, something that just didn't call to me. But when I saw the green version, that makes it look just like winding vines with this kind of neutral background. I thought that looked so pretty. So I promptly cast on with 2 colors of Filcolana Arvetta, which is a superwash sock yarn. I didn't write down what colors I'm using, but I'm using a US 1 2.25mm for the ribbing. And then for the colorwork, because when I knit colorwork, I tend to knit it apparently tightly. I have to go up needle sizes. So I'm actually using a US 2.5, which is a 3mm for my colorwork. And I've tried the sock on and it fits perfectly. The original pattern is knit top down or cuff down. However, it has an afterthought heel in it. So it does look cool because you don't get a break in the vines. Like it's all one. I don't like the way that Afterthought heels fit me, so I chose to instead insert a heel flapping gusset, and I also shortened. There should have been another panel of vines up here that I just omitted. So I basically started on the second section of vines instead. Just because I didn't want to have to deal with trying to fit socks over my calves again, because yeah, that whole ordeal with the Nightingale socks. So anyways, yeah, I'm happy with them. And now I just have to do the same thing on the next one. And what I'm thinking of doing is, because I love to make my life more difficult, I don't want the socks to be the exact same. I think I'm gonna do like the reverse, like mirror image them, or I might just stagger the pattern of vines. So what is also cool about this pattern, and I think the designer mentions this in why she designed it this way, is that there's no jog. Like you don't see a jog for a beginning of round because the vines there's no real set pattern. They don't repeat. There's no repeats. It's just kind of random throughout. So it looks pretty seamless. It's really cool. I do have a little hole right here, which sometimes I get, which I will have to go back and sew up. But other than that, yeah, looks really neat. Oh. Anyways, yeah, happy with them. So I gotta finish the second one. I haven't even cast it on yet. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm gonna have to move little Brownie again. He's made a little, sorry buddy, I'm gonna, it's like, don't get up, buddy. Can you get off? Thank you. I've just made it very uncomfortable for him. Now there's nothing. Sorry, I needed it. Okay, so I also pulled out some old whips. So these are my long-term whips, the blankets that I've been working on. They're both crocheted blankets. So I pulled out my Battenburg, and I don't know if I can show this. I needed color. This is what it was. I was like, a lot of the stuff that I'm working on is really, sometimes I go through phases where I really like autumn colors or neutrals and darker colors. But right now I'm feeling I want some brightness. So I pulled this out. And this is basically made out of, this is how far it is. Oh, so I made quite a bit of progress on it actually. It's all of my old superwash yarns. So a lot of singles, mostly singles, and bright colors. There's some dark ones in there too. There's a few sock yarns, but mostly it's like when I first started getting into knitting seriously, I was really into like the hand dyeds, the like superwash hand dyeds, like hedgehog fibers. I had a whole bunch of hedgehog fibers, and I can thank what's her name? Andrea Mowry, because hers were the first patterns that I really started diving into, and she at the time was doing a lot of like fades with different, you know, hedgehog fibers. She had others that I couldn't get access to or whatever, but I went crazy for the hedgehog fibers. So I have all these skeins of these superwash yarns, and I'm like, I just single skeins. I just don't know what to do with them. So I figured a blanket would be a good option, because then I can throw it in the wash. I don't have to worry about it, and it's fun. Brightens up my day. So yeah, that is my Battenburg. I'm using a size 3mm crochet hook to make my squares, and my squares are 1 round bigger than I think the actual pattern calls for. So Sandra Paul is the designer of the Battenburg blanket, and I'm pretty sure her squares are smaller, and I did 1 extra round. And I'm joining with the cream colored squares. She shows you how to do that in her pattern. It's a free pattern, by the way. Yeah, so I just follow that method. Very happy with it. It's growing. I think I started this one in lockdown. This was my first crochet project. No, I had done a blanket a long time ago. But yeah, this was started in 2020 at Easter. I remember it distinctly. So we're coming up on 5 years. That's okay. It's a blanket. Blankets don't count. Remember? Okay, and then I have another blanket, another crochet blanket. This one's a crochet granny square blanket. Using, I forget how many number of colors, but really I want to finish this one so it can go in here. Actually looks kind of nice with the wall. Yeah, this one, I talked about this before. It was, the color choices were based off of a blanket kit by Green Letter Day, I think is the name. And I tried to match those colors, although those were like superwash hand dyeds. And so this is 100% wool, non-superwash. I think it's 75% BFL and 25% Masham. They are the Sandra DK from Sandra Yarns, Canadian company. Very lovely, very soft. And yes, I adore it. I adore the colors. It looks even better on screen, I think. Okay, so yeah, it's, I don't know how big I'm gonna make this, probably like a lap Afghan. The Battenburg I want to make like blanket, not blanket, bed sized. So like queen size bed size is my goal. This one can be smaller, plus I don't have as much yarn, so that's that. And I'm using what size hook? 4mm G hook. And I'm using a join as you go technique for my squares, where on the last round, I think there's four rounds. On the last round of the granny square, you join to your blanket. And there's a tutorial that I use to do that, and I have linked it on my project page if you're interested in that technique. I have it linked there. Okay. So that is it for the knitting and crochet. And then with spinning, I have been spinning. I got back into it again. There was a little while where I had put it on hold. I was having a frustrating time with this fiber. So this is the Targi. See what the little sheep look like. They are cute. It's not their fault. It's not their fault I was frustrated. So for those who don't know, I do have a breed, what is it called? A breed study that I had gotten when I first started spindle spinning for the first time. I started spinning. I ordered a breed of the month breed study from Longway Homestead, which is a Canadian company. And each month you would get 100 grams of a different sheep breed, and all of them came from across Canada. They're all Canadian, from Canadian farms. So this time it was Targi. I was struggling hard with it. It was clumpy and being really disagreeable for me. I don't know if that's just how it is. It could be, because it could be. Leanne from the Nitty Stew, which is an amazing podcast. If you've never heard of it, I'm sure you have. Canadian podcaster, knitter. She makes beautiful things, and I do love her podcast very much. Leanne was also working on a Targi spin, and she had reached out to me and said that she was struggling hard too. So I don't know if it's the type of fiber or what, but anyways, I muscled through it. I did it, and I came up with this. I have a whole skein. I have gotten an opinion. I brought it to my knit night, and Andre of the Osseo Knits podcast, another great podcast, I will link down below. I asked for her opinion because she's a bit more of a prolific spinner than I am. I'm still new to my wheel, relatively new to my wheel. And she concurred that it is definitely overspun. So it's kind of like, almost like a boucle-ish texture. it's really different. It's still fun, and it is bouncy, and it's not crunchy, so it's not super tight. It's just it's like crimpy, if that's the thing. Anyways, I don't know what I'll do with it. She suggested maybe I make it like a stuffed animal or something. I think a little sheep might be so cute out of this, because it is kind of like little sheep locks, the way that they kind of crimp. And oh yeah, this one had a ton of veg matter in it while I was spinning, and I was having to stop and pick out. And someone had recommended, I can't remember who it was, when I mentioned that, was like, just spin it in, worry about it later. And so I did that, and that really helped, because it was just slowing me down so much. But yeah, this might become a little sheep. I don't know. We shall see. It smells really nice. I soaked it in soak. But I was happy to finish that. And now I am working on my next one. I'm trying to get through all of the white fibers, because I find them a little more boring, to be honest, just color-wise, right? Like, they're not exciting. So if I can get through all the white ones, then I get rewarded with the browns and the grays and then the marls and stuff, like the different colors. So the next one I'm working on right now is, sorry, it's on the wheel, so I didn't bring it over, but it's called Polypay, from the Polypay sheep. And it's going very well. Actually, I'm almost half done. Didn't start it that long ago. It's spinning so much nicer. I'm a little concerned. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on in our lives. It's very stressful period. And I'm worried that I might have put that into my target, and that's why it ended up overspun. And I really hope that I'm not doing the same thing with the Polypay, because things are still stressful, and I'm hoping I'm not overspinning it. But we shall find out. And no, I don't have any. I know everyone asks me, like, what are you planning to do with your hand spun? I don't know yet. I just want right now to experience the different fibers, to enjoy each one for what it is, or not enjoy it, as the case may be. And yeah, just get through them, and then I'll worry about, what I might make with them. Yeah. Okay. So that's it for spinning, acquisitions, and future plans. So when Caitlin from the Woolly Thistle reached out to me, she mentioned my podcast, and she said some very kind things, and she asked if I wanted to be an affiliate for the Woolly Thistle. And I, asked what that entailed, and she explained it to me. And yeah, like there's no, I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to talk about them if I don't want to. I don't even have to use the link. It's really only a benefit to me if I do. But they did offer to send me 2 skeins of yarn from their Rambler line, their own line, kind of as a little gift. So I took them up on that offer. So they sent me, I got to choose the colors. They sent me 2 Rambler skeins. So I'll just read to you on the back what it says. So, inspired by our love for British breeds and sourced from American wools within the Southern Adirondack Fiber Producers Cooperative, Rambler is spun in New York State. Crisp and woolly, this 3-ply 100% wool yarn is sturdy enough for socks, mitts, and so much more. So it's an 80-10-10 Dorset Corriedale Grey Romney. There's 420 yards per 100 grams, and it's a fingering weight and non-superwash. And so I chose the natural color, which is this lovely kind of gray beige, and cinnamon fern, which is, okay, showing up way brighter on screen. It's much more, yeah, that looks really bright. It's more of a muted kind of cinnamony color. And so obviously I haven't used them yet, but I was toying with the idea of making a pair of mittens. And the mitten pattern that I kind of landed on are the Fortuna mittens by Berg. I'll put a picture up so you can see what that pattern looks like. They're really pretty, and I just thought I would do the natural color in the background and then do kind of like the little, I don't know, not flowers, the vegetation, I guess, in the cinnamon fern color. I think those would be really pretty. So that's something I hope to cast on. I don't know actually if I'm going to cast them on yet. I might wait until fall and do it because I'm really, really craving, like I said, spring stuff and more like less winter. Winter is holding on. I'm not filming outside because we got a bunch more snow and it's just a disaster out there. So I didn't want to deal with it. So I'm filming inside today. The sun is shining, which is nice though. But I look at the long range forecast and it's just snow, snow, snow. And we're almost into April and it's just, it won't quit. So anyways, that's a future plan and acquisitions. And then like I mentioned previously, I was looking at getting or casting on like an Aran Guernsey type sweater, so I purchased a few books. So I got this one, which is the patterns for Guernseys, Jerseys, and Arans fishermen's sweaters from the British Isles by Gladys Thompson, with a note for American knitters. And this one has like, I like it because it has little snippets of the patterns that you can use to incorporate. You could potentially, make your own sweater and incorporate all the different designs that you want to put into it to kind of tailor it, which I think is really cool. But it also has, I don't want to show the patterns, but it also has some pictures of the patterns that they do offer as well. So I don't know if they all kind of start the same way. I haven't read the book yet. I don't know if they all kind of start the same way and then you just switch out some of the motifs to create different looks. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it looked cool and I was actually interested in reading about some of the history behind stuff like that. I'm getting into like more history behind knitting and so it intrigues me. Okay, and then I went ahead and got Alice Starmore's Aran knitting, which has some really beautiful designs too. So there's different weights of yarns. I couldn't find one in here that would work for the worsted weight I had. That's why I ended up casting on the Saven. But, sorry, I'm just trying to find if I can find a one to show you. Maybe I should do like a flip through. I don't know. Do you guys like flip throughs? Let me know in the comments down below if you'd want me to do a flip through. I have lots of books. And I know for me, I feel like that would be really useful to see before I bought a book if there's anything in there that I really, liked and wanted to make. Because I know sometimes when you're, looking at books, sometimes they only show you the cover or they'll only show you a men's sweater. They only show you a few of the patterns. They don't really show you what all is in there. So they even have little kid ones. Oh, look how cute that is. That's adorable. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so yes, Aran Knitting by Alice Starmore. And then of course, because I was on an Alice Starmore kick, I purchased the Tudor Roses book, which I remember way back when 3 podcasters had a make-along for the Tudor Roses book. And that is what I think, is that what started me into? Or maybe it was from watching Fruity Knitting. Fruity Knitting also, Andrea was making a Tudor Roses pattern, I remember too. I just opened my eyes to this whole world of like intricate, very kind of costumey kind of knitting, which I hadn't really been exposed to before. So this is a really cool book, and I've been coveting it for a while, and I got the soft cover. You can get a hardcover version too, but I got the soft cover. And speaking of Alice Starmore, Mrs. Walgren Makes, which is also another wonderful podcast, she is hosting is it an Alice Starmore or is it a Tudor Roses? Oh, I can't remember. It might just be general to Alice Starmore. Anyway, she's doing a make-along right now. And so if you're interested, please do go check her out. I will put a link to her podcast down below. And yeah, I think she might have a Ravelry group. I've been meaning to join it. I want to see all the inspiration. I don't think that I'm gonna get a chance to participate because I'm just not there yet. I'm not ready to cast on something so intricate with having that cable pattern on my needles right now, but definitely love to follow along with stuff like that and get inspiration. So yeah, if you like Alice Starmore, word of caution, Alice Starmore patterns are not size inclusive, if I remember correctly. Nope, they go up to like extra large, whatever that means. Small, large, extra large. I don't even know, truthfully, if any of these would fit me. I might have to adapt them. That's really pretty too. Oh, there are buttons on there. That's quite pretty. Anyways, yes, so some new books to add to my library and hopefully to give me some inspiration when the time comes to cast on something new. Okay, and then in terms of life stuff, I alluded to the fact that there's been a lot of stressors going on. I'm not going to get into major details, but I'll just say that the house is giving us trouble, the foundation specifically, kind of a big deal. And we've had some flooding. So yeah, we're living in our guest room right now. We've had to move out of our master bedroom was in the basement. We've had to move out of it and we're up in our guest room. And it's been very frustrating trying to get the matter fixed, which it still isn't. Anyways, it sucks when you buy a new home and then you don't know the history and things go wrong. And I mean, we already fixed a bunch of little things, which not a big deal real in the greater scheme of things. They did cost a little bit of money that we had to fork out up front, but nothing compared to a foundation, which, as you may know, if you have a foundation, it is extremely expensive to repair. So we're facing some financial stresses. And just like not being comfortable in our house, right? And like we can use our basement. It's not like we can't. It's just certain areas of it are wet and it's a finished basement. So you don't, like with carpet. So anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it because I've had a lot of rage moments over the past few weeks. It's been rage, crying, lots of emotions being felt. What else? On the plus side, I've seen some exciting, new to me wildlife in our backyard, which is really fun. So you may have seen, if you follow me on Instagram, that I posted pictures of the barred owl. He or she, they've been hanging around, and they literally are coming right up on our deck now. And so I was able to get some good video footage right close. Like I was outside and it came up on the deck. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be super afraid of people. Does not like our cats though. As soon as it saw a cat through the window, like we have a sliding glass door in our kitchen and it looks out onto the deck. And as soon as the owl saw a cat, it flew away. It's not a fan of cats, which is fine. That's good. I saw a couple weeks ago, I saw a weasel. I don't know if it's a short-tailed or a long-tailed weasel. I didn't manage to get a picture. It happened so fast. I just saw a really like long, slinky white body with a black tipped tail go racing between. We have two sheds at the back in our yard. Kind of went between them. And then I thought, oh, what was that? I have to look up what that is. And yeah, it really depends on how long its tail was and how big the body was, and whether it was a short-tailed or a long-tailed, because they both kind of look similar. But yeah, I was excited to see that. That's cool. And we saw our first chipmunk of the season 2 days ago. So I guess they're starting to come out of hibernation. That must mean spring is coming. And yeah, and we've had some nuthatches, red-breasted and white-breasted nuthatches. They've been hanging around all year. We've even had some goldfinches, which typically, from my experience in the past, they usually would fly south, like migrate for the winter, but these ones have been hanging around. So I've been eating at our feeder. So that's been fun. And yeah. So, okay, other than watching wildlife, I have also been reading a lot of books, and I have enjoyed so very much getting back to reading actual physical books. So in the past, I was listening to audiobooks for convenience a lot, just because I like to multitask, and I find like if I'm exercising or yeah, basically if I'm exercising or doing something with my hands or whatever, I can listen to an audiobook and do that. So it kind of multitask. But more recently, I've been taking time to just focus on reading actual books. So I finished The Book of Negroes by Lawrence Hill. Excellent book, really highly recommend. It basically covers the lifetime of, it is fiction, but it's historical fiction, so it's based on fact, in historical fact, I guess. And it follows the life of a little girl named Amanita, who is taken from an African village and put into the slave trade, essentially. And there's definitely some, sad parts to it. Like there's moments where I cried, where you feel sad. But there's also so many hopeful moments too. Like it's such a well-written book, so good. Just really, it has that balance of like, it's not all despair. There's like good things that come out of stuff too. It's really nice, really good book. Really recommend it. Lawrence Hill is a Canadian author, actually, I found out. And a Black Canadian author. And then I listened to an audiobook called The Last Beekeeper. That was by Julie Carrick Dalton. The premise of it sounded really interesting. It was about a post-apocalyptic world where bees are all dead, like pollinators have been killed off due to like toxicity in soils or chemicals or what have you. They're no longer around. And it's about a girl whose father was the last beekeeper and ends up in prison, and what happens to her afterwards. So it was interesting, but I wouldn't say it was great. I gave it a 3 out of 5. And then I listened to another audiobook called The Scarlet Letter, which is a classic that I had never read before. So I was like, I started getting into like this, I don't know, this need to like go back to classic fiction. And I'd always been enthralled by the idea of The Scarlet Letter. And to be honest, a long time ago, before I knew what it was about, I thought it was about like Nazi Germany, like during the war, and like the Jewish people who had to wear some kind of indicator to show that they were Jewish. That's not the case. The Scarlet Letter is about a woman who is perceived to be an adulterer, and she has to wear a red letter A on her lapel or like on her bosom everywhere she goes, so everyone can see that she's an adulterer. It's a good book. It's a good book. It's interesting from a feminist perspective, and yeah, it was good. A little hard to like get back into stuff like that when because it was written in the 1800s, I think it was. I don't know, the language is very, thou and thust and doth, and it's not like how we would talk these like in present day. It was a switch to get back into that. But I used to love those kinds of books. I have an English degree. I have 2 degrees. I have one in English from York University, and I got to read a lot of English literature. So it was a very big passion of mine, but I'm out of practice. So then I moved on to Invisible Hour, which just so happens, and that's by Alice Hoffman. I'm listening to that right now. It is an audiobook, and I didn't intend for it to be this way, but it just turns out that it's almost like a modern day Scarlet Letter. So so far it's very interesting. And then physical books, I'm reading a ton of them. I never thought I'd be the type to read multiple books at once, but I started So You Want to Talk About Race, which is nonfiction, and it's written by, actually I have it right here, I'll just grab it, because I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce their name correctly. Ioma Alua. Very thought-provoking. I think I highly recommend that you read it. And I think, you know what, I don't know who it's actually specifically geared to, but I feel like people of all color could benefit from reading this. I'm taking my time. I read it when I feel it, and I'm actually making notes and trying to use it as a learning tool. So, for instance, there was the last chapter I think I read. Was it the last one? Yes. It's called Why Am I Always Being Told to Check My Privilege? And I made a point of like taking time to go through and to write down how I'm privileged and in ways we don't always think about. So like I know there's a lot of talk about white privilege. Just by being white, that is a privilege. There's so many other ways that we are privileged in our daily lives and we don't even like really realize it, or we take it for granted, right? Like things like being able-bodied, not having to use a wheelchair, maybe growing up in a house that was stable where you never had to worry about losing your house or enough food on your table, things like that. Like you don't realize how many things you can have that kind of bring you privilege and can actually help you get to a certain point in life that others, because they don't have those privileges, can't. Anyways, I found that part so far to be the most enlightening and really eye-opening, especially when you start to take time to assess your own privilege. And anyway, really good book, highly recommend for anybody. Now I am reading also Half-Blood Blues. So I picked that book up. I had it on my bookshelf and I'd been meaning to read it for a while. And as it turns out, it's by an author called Easy Iduian. Sorry, I feel like I mispronounce people's names. And right on the cover it says, a truly beautiful novel, and that was by Lawrence Hill, who wrote the Book of Negroes. So he enjoyed this book by Easy Iduian. And I had listened to an audiobook by Easy called Washington Black. Such a good book. Really highly recommend. Really good book. So I was really excited to start this one because I forgot I had it on my shelf and I found it and I was like, okay, I'm going to read it. I am having a really hard time getting into it, to be honest. I'm not sure why. So I think the premise of it is, so far as I can tell, is that it's about some jazz musicians, black jazz musicians in Germany at the time of World War II. And one of them goes missing. That's all I know so far. But I'm just having a really hard time getting into the story. But I'm not giving up. I'm only 42 pages in, so hopefully it will get better. And I mean, it was a finalist for all these different awards, so like I don't know. I think I just need to get past it, get past the beginning and get into it. And then I was doing some moving around and cleaning up and stuff, and I found a book that I had started, I looked back, 2022, called Stones from the River by Ursula Heggie. I had misplaced it since in the move, and anyways, I found it again. So that one is on my bedside table. I read that one. So John and I have been reading every single night. We try, unless we're too darn tired, or yeah. There's been some nights where I'm just like mentally exhausted, so I haven't been able to read, but yeah, we're trying to make a point of reading every night. And Stones from the River, excellent book. Haven't finished it yet, but I thought I was like near the end. I wasn't even. I think I'm only like a quarter of the way through. It is about a, they use the term Zwerg in Germany. So there's a little, she starts off as a little girl, and she is a dwarf, I guess, is the word they use in the book. I don't think that's the politically correct word we would use these days, but that's what she's called, a Zwerg in German. And right now it's a little bit heartbreaking because, you know, she gets made fun of and she has a hard time and she suffers some tragedies and stuff, but it's very emotionally grasping, I guess. Like it makes you feel things, and I love that. I love those kinds of books that make me feel things, whether it's good, like happy, sad, angry, whatever. I like a good book that makes me feel things. So yeah. And apparently, like, if you read the back cover of the book, I haven't got to the part yet, but she's a little person, but she does remarkably great things. And I think she ends up, it says something about she ends up helping some Jewish people escape during the war, or protecting them or something like that. So looking forward to it. Yes, so those are all the books that I have read and are reading or listening to at this moment. If you have any good book recommendations, please do share them down below. I do have a lot on my shelves that I still need to get through, but I'm always looking for more, and it's like there's so many books out there. It's crazy. Like, how do we ever choose, right? What's the next one we're gonna read? That's why I'm just like, I'm not gonna buy any new ones until I finish what I have on my shelf, and then I will buy new physical, maybe not new to me books, but not new. Probably, or I might start doing the library thing. My problem with the library thing is I'm not a fast enough reader to get through a book in the amount of time that you have to have it. And I know you can recheck it out and stuff like that, but it's happened to me before with audiobooks where I get like 3/4 of the way through, and then it gets sent back, and you think, okay, well, I'll just renew it again or whatever, but someone takes it and then you don't get to finish. So I have a couple of those I gotta finish too. Anyway, so yeah, okay, wow, this was a long one, but I guess it kind of makes sense because I've been gone since December. So anyways, I hope that you are having a wonderful start to your year, or I guess we're not in the start of the year anymore, but I hope that 2025 is treating you better than it's been treating me, and that things are going well, and that you're getting lots of making done. And again, if you wouldn't mind sharing what you've been working on down in the comments below, I would greatly appreciate it. I love to hear about what everyone's making and what's bringing you inspiration. And I hope that if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you're seeing some sun and maybe hints of spring. And in the Southern Hemisphere, you're moving into your autumn, which is amazing too. And I hope you enjoy the cozy autumn weather. All right, I'll leave it there and talk to you hopefully soon. Take care and happy making. Bye.